We have created a Kruby's array to model our crew, and we have 3 Kruby's in our Kruby's array, and each is modeled by an object. We'll clean up a little bit. Let's get rid of this console.log, and this time we will show you how to display from this array of objects onto the screen. So let's go to the Design tab and let's build a little bit of our screen, and let's say we just want 2 labels. So I'm going to draw one label onto the screen and another label onto the screen. And let's take a little bit of time to arrange them appropriately. So let's make this one, this will be width 110, and let's put it over on the X. Let's say 10 to the X. And I've kind of planned this ahead of time, but this is how I go about arranging things on the screen. It's easier, I believe, to type in these properties. So these are all properties of that label. So that label is label 1. Let's give it a good descriptive name. Let's call it, instead of label 1, let's call it name 1, because that's going to hold the first name. And I like to pick a custom font. So these up here are good for text, and then down here, comic and below is good for headings. Let's go with Georgia, and we can increase the size a little bit to 18, and that looks good. And now let's go move this text. So now we can notice to make this at exactly the same Y position. We know the Y is 30. So we can come back in here and we can make the Y position 30. And this will be our birthday one. So we're going to put the name and the birthday onto the screen for our app, for our crew birthday app. So there's birthday 1. And let's use all of the screen that we can. So I know that this is width of 110, and let's bump it over a little bit of X, move it over closer to the edge. So that's 115, and we probably want 5 pixels between our 2 labels. So let's start this at 120, right? So this one starts at X position 5, and it's 110 wide, so that's 115. And then if I add 5, that's 120. So if I start this at 120, then I know it's 5 pixels away from my name label. And if it starts at 120, then the whole screen is 320. So I could go up to 200 wide, but I don't want it bumping up against the edge exactly like that. So let's make it 190 wide. And I can tell you that I've tested it ahead of time. And the longest birthday is, the longest month is September. So the longest birthday you could have would be September, double digit, 2020. And I can tell you that does fit in, if you have the font Georgia and the font size 18, that does fit in a label with width of 120. So I know that's going to work. So let's just do it. So I've got the name 1, birthday 1 are the name of my labels. And in the code, I want to display from this Kruby's array, I want to just display the first Kruby and their birthday in those labels. So how do I do that? I set text, and we can grab it from here if we want, or we can type it in ourselves. No reason not to grab it if we have it. Set text, and you can see that it's looking for an ID and a text value. So the text, the ID is name 1. That's what I called the label. And the value that we want to put in name 1 is Julian. So we could just type it in like this, and it will set Julian into the label. But we are going to do something more computer sciencey. We don't want to type out all the names and labels. So we're actually going to we want to get the value out of this array of objects. So if we want Julian, we know from last time that he is in the array called Kruby's. So I can type Kruby's, and Julian is the object at index 0, the first thing in the array. And that would give us actually the whole object. I don't know what that's going to do on the screen. Yeah, so it's the whole object. So it's not exactly what we want. We want just the name. So instead of the whole object, we want the name property, which is .name. And now if we run it, it's going to put Julian on the screen. Then we can do the same thing for the birthday. So I'm going to do Shift Command back arrow to highlight that whole line, Command C, and then Command V to copy it. And now I want to set the text of the birthday one label, and I want to set that to Kruby0 dot, not name, but I want the birthday property. And we can just, there we go. So there's Julian's birthday, and everything works. And of course, if I wanted, instead of Julian, if I wanted Esther, I would do 1. If I wanted Manuela, I would do 2. So let's get Manuela's name and Manuela's birthday and display those to the screen. So notice the power of this setup. It took a while for us to code it up, but now we can change it just by changing one thing, but it's by indicating we want position 1 in the array, and then we're going to get Esther's birthday. So this is how you would display from this Kruby's array, grab information about the objects and display them onto the screen. Thanks for watching.